The second possibility is that advanced civilizations do develop the ability to create simulations, but choose not to. There could be ethical reasons for this, such as a reluctance to create conscious beings within a fabricated reality. Alternatively, there may be no interest in doing so, or natural laws may prevent such simulations from being stable over long periods. If this is the case, then our reality must be the original non-simulated one. However, the third and most intriguing possibility is that advanced civilizations not only develop the ability to create simulations, but actively do so. If a single advanced civilization were to create countless simulated worlds, then the number of simulated realities would vastly outnumber the single base reality. In that case, the probability that we are in the original reality becomes minuscule. Statistically, it is far more likely that we exist inside one of the countless simulated worlds rather than the rare, real one. Bostrom's argument does not definitively prove that we are in a simulation, but it forces us to confront an unsettling possibility. If technological civilizations can and do create simulated realities, then the odds suggest that we are already inside one. The implications of this are profound. If our universe is a simulation, then its rules, what we call the laws of physics, might not be fundamental but rather programmed constraints within a computational framework. Scientists have begun searching for evidence of this possibility, looking for potential glitches or limitations in physics that might reveal signs of an artificial universe, which we will explore next. The idea that we might be living in a simulation is no longer just a philosophical thought experiment. Some scientists believe there is actual evidence suggesting that reality might be artificial. One of the most compelling arguments comes from the fundamental nature of physics itself. The universe appears to be governed by a set of precise mathematical rules, much like a computer program. Every known physical law follows elegant equations, from Einstein's theory of relativity to the intricate patterns of quantum mechanics. Some researchers argue that if reality were truly organic and unstructured, we would expect more randomness, yet what we observe is a universe that behaves almost too perfectly, as if it were programmed. One of the most striking clues comes from the Planck scale, the smallest possible unit of space and time. In computing, digital images and video are made up of pixels, the smallest indivisible units of a display. Similarly, some physicists propose that the universe itself might have a smallest unit, an indivisible pixel of reality. If this is true, then space and time might not be continuous, but instead composed of discrete blocks of information, just like a video game rendering a three-dimensional world on a screen. This idea suggests that reality is not infinitely smooth, but has a hidden resolution limit, much like a simulation running on a computer with finite processing power. Quantum mechanics also provides strange hints that reality might be governed by something more than just natural laws. One of the most baffling phenomena in quantum physics is wave function collapse, which suggests that particles exist in multiple states until they are observed. This is the famous observer effect, where a quantum particle remains in an uncertain state until it is measured, at which point it chooses a definite state. Some scientists speculate that this behavior could be similar to how video games conserve processing power by only rendering environments when a player is looking at them. If reality behaves the same way, only becoming real when observed, it raises the question of whether the universe operates like a computational system, optimizing its resources. Another peculiar mystery is the fine-tuning of the universe. The fundamental constants of physics, such as the strength of gravity, the charge of an electron, and the cosmological constant, are set at values that allow for the formation of stars, planets, and life. If any of these constants were even slightly different, the universe as we know it would not exist. The sheer improbability of these values being just right has led some scientists to consider the possibility that they were set intentionally. much like parameters programmed into a simulation. If we are in a simulated world, then whoever or whatever created it might have deliberately adjusted these variables to produce a stable and habitable reality. These clues do not definitively prove that the universe is a simulation, but they raise serious questions about the nature of reality. If the laws of physics appear too structured, space and time behave like pixels, and quantum mechanics hints at reality being observer-dependent, could it be that we are living inside a programmed environment? Scientists have begun designing experiments to test for possible glitches in the simulation, and if they succeed, we may one day uncover undeniable proof that our reality is not as real as we once thought. If the universe is a simulation, then one of the biggest questions becomes, can we find glitches in the system? In computer simulations, errors or inconsistencies sometimes occur due to processing limitations or flaws in the coding. If our reality is a programmed simulation, then theoretically there could be similar glitches, anomalies that don't conform to the expected laws of physics. Some scientists and researchers have proposed experiments to look for these irregularities, which could serve as evidence that our universe is an artificial construct. Another major question is the meaning of life within a simulation. Many belief systems, philosophies, and personal worldviews are based on the assumption that life is real, that our choices matter, and that our existence has intrinsic value. But if we are in a simulation, then what purpose does our existence serve? Are we being studied like lab rats in an experiment? Are we characters in an entertainment program for an advanced civilization? Or are we simply part of an automated system, with no greater meaning behind our experiences? Some argue that whether we are in a simulation or not, the meaning of life is what we make of it. Just because we are simulated does not mean our emotions, relationships, and struggles are any less real. Then there is the question of moral responsibility. If we are living in a designed world, should we still follow ethical principles? If reality is just a sophisticated illusion, do concepts like justice, fairness, and morality still hold meaning? Some might argue that if the world is simulated, then actions have no real consequences, leading to a nihilistic view where morality becomes meaningless. However, others counter that morality still matters because we experience reality as if it is real. Even if we are inside a simulation, suffering still feels like suffering. Happiness is still happiness, and the way we treat others still has tangible effects on their experiences. Additionally, if our reality was created by a higher intelligence, we must ask, what responsibilities do the creators have toward us? If they are watching us, do they intervene in human affairs? Are they benevolent, neutral, or indifferent? If our world is a simulation and we suffer, does that make our creators cruel? Or is suffering just a necessary function of the system they designed? These questions parallel theological debates about the nature of God and divine justice, but in the context of a simulated universe, they take on a more technological and existential dimension. Perhaps one of the biggest ethical dilemmas is, should we try to escape? If we find proof that our universe is a simulation, should we attempt to break free and discover the real world outside of it? Some might argue that leaving the simulation could be dangerous. Perhaps the world beyond is not meant for us, or worse, maybe our reality is the best possible existence available. On the other hand, curiosity and the pursuit of truth are fundamental to human nature. If there is a higher reality beyond our own, many would argue that we have the right, if not the obligation, to seek it out. Ultimately, whether or not we are in a simulation, the philosophical and ethical questions remain profound. If we ever prove the simulation hypothesis to be true, humanity will be faced with its greatest existential reckoning. How we respond to that knowledge, whether with fear, acceptance, or a drive to explore beyond our artificial reality, will define the next chapter of our existence. If we are in a simulation, what does the future hold for our understanding of reality? As scientific advancements continue, we may develop better tools to test the simulation hypothesis and uncover deeper truths about our existence. The discovery of undeniable evidence, whether through physics, technology, or an anomaly in the system, would mark one of the most groundbreaking moments in human history. But what happens after that? One possibility is that we learn to manipulate the simulation itself. If we find a way to detect the underlying code or structure of our reality, we might also discover ways to alter it. This could lead to an entirely new form of science, one that allows us to rewrite the rules of physics, bypass traditional constraints, and even extend human capabilities beyond what we currently consider possible. If our universe is a simulation, then unlocking its mechanisms could make us the equivalent of programmers, allowing us to shape reality as we see fit. This concept ties into ideas like quantum mechanics, consciousness-driven reality, and even ancient philosophical and spiritual beliefs about the power of the mind over matter. Another scenario is that our creators might reveal themselves. If an advanced civilization or intelligence is responsible for our simulation, then they may choose to step in once we reach a certain level of awareness. This could take many forms, perhaps through direct contact, through subtle guidance, or even through a complete reset of the simulation. Some theories suggest that if we become aware of the simulation, the system itself might react, altering reality to prevent us from discovering the full truth. Others believe that the creators could welcome us into a higher plane of existence, allowing us to join them outside the simulation. There is also the unsettling possibility that discovering we are in a simulation could lead to its termination. If the simulation exists for a specific purpose, such as an experiment, a game, or a test, then our awareness of it might render the experiment invalid. In this case, the creators could decide to shut it down, effectively ending our universe. This idea raises profound existential questions. Are we meant to know the truth, or is ignorance necessary for the simulation to function? If we push too far, do we risk erasing ourselves? Yet another outcome is that we choose to embrace the simulation and continue living as if nothing has changed. Even if we find proof that our world is artificial, it does not necessarily mean our experiences are meaningless. Every emotion, relationship and achievement still holds personal value, regardless of whether reality is real or simulated. In this view, knowing the truth does not change the fundamental human experience. We can still find purpose, meaning and fulfillment within the system, just as a character in a novel can still live a compelling story, even if they are fictional. The future of the simulation hypothesis is filled with uncertainty, but one thing is clear: the question of whether we are in a simulation is one of the most profound inquiries we can make. If we ever find the answer, it will reshape our understanding of existence, the universe and our place within it. Whether we are in a simulated world or not, the search for truth and the pursuit of knowledge remain at the core of what it means to be human. In conclusion, the simulation hypothesis is more than just a fascinating thought experiment. It is a question that challenges the very foundation of reality. If we are living in a simulated universe, then everything we believe about existence, free will, and consciousness must be reconsidered. The idea that our world could be an advanced artificial construct is no longer just the realm of science fiction. It is now a serious topic of scientific and philosophical investigation. Whether or not we ever find definitive proof, the pursuit of this question has already expanded our understanding of the universe. It has pushed us to explore the nature of reality, the limits of physics, and the potential of advanced civilizations. If we are in a simulation, then our role within it, whether as passive participants, conscious explorers, or even beings capable of rewriting the rules, remains uncertain. If we one day confirm that we are living in a programmed reality, we will have to decide how to respond. Do we seek to escape? Do we try to manipulate the simulation? Or do we accept our reality for what it is and continue to find meaning within it? No matter the answer, one thing is clear. The search for truth will always be a defining part of human nature. Whether our universe is real or simulated, our curiosity, our drive for knowledge, and our quest to understand our place in existence will never cease. One approach to understanding this is by considering how simulated beings inside a computer game might try to interact with the system running their world. If we are in a simulation, then the laws of physics might be the rules of the system, meaning any attempt to escape would require finding loopholes or exploits within those rules. Some researchers believe that if we study the fundamental nature of physics closely enough, we might uncover anomalies, glitches in the system that point to a way out. One potential method of escaping the simulation could involve reaching the boundaries of the universe. If we are in a programmed reality, then there might be a limit to how far we can go, an edge where the simulation ends. Some scientists have proposed that the observable universe might not be infinite, but instead a confined space, like the edges of a vast computer-generated world. If we could travel far enough, we might encounter something resembling a barrier, an abrupt stop in the simulation's rendering, or even evidence of the system's underlying code. Another idea is that if the simulation is running on an advanced computational framework, then it may have underlying programming rules that could potentially be manipulated. Some have even suggested that certain unexplained phenomena, such as quantum mechanics' observer effect, consciousness's influence on reality, or even rare supernatural experiences, might be hints that we are interacting with the simulation at a deeper level. If the simulation operates like a video game, then perhaps we have the ability to alter certain parameters through willpower, collective consciousness, or unknown forces. There is also the possibility that our creators could intervene, or that we could somehow communicate with them. If we ever find a way to detect their presence, perhaps by triggering a noticeable reaction in reality, such as an anomaly in physics that cannot be explained, we might be able to confirm the existence of our simulators. Some thinkers speculate that if we prove we are in a simulation, we might be able to send messages to our creators, asking them for answers, modifications, or even an exit. The most speculative idea is that death itself could be a way out of the simulation. If we are simulated beings, then what happens when our physical form ceases to exist? Some have theorized that if we are inside a simulation, our consciousness might not disappear upon death, but instead transition to another state, possibly waking up in the real world outside the simulation. While all of these ideas remain speculative, they push the boundaries of what we consider possible. If we ever find definitive proof that we are in a simulation, the next logical step would be to figure out how much control we have over it. If the simulation hypothesis is true, then it raises profound philosophical and ethical questions about the nature of existence, free will, and our purpose in the universe. One of the most pressing concerns is the illusion of free will. In a simulation, everything that happens could be dictated by an underlying code, meaning that even our sense of personal choice might be an illusion. This raises an unsettling question. Are we merely complex characters in a cosmic game, following predetermined paths without realizing it?